Welcome to another session of Endless Space 2. This time we're going to be doing a walkthrough of the Hissho, the latest faction to be added to the game in the Supremacy DLC. And the Hissho really favour an aggressive playstyle, because, as we'll discuss just now, colonization is kind of bad, and you'd much prefer to take colonies away from other factions or minor factions. And this is really because of K, the most distinctive thing of the Hissho. And this is a kind of resource that replaces approval rating. So normally you get approval rating on each system, and then the aggregate also determines some empire-wide bonuses, like bonus dust and science. For the Hissho, this is different in a number of ways. So firstly, your K count is for all your systems. So that's already different. But more importantly, K is a resource that you can gain and spend, unlike approval. And if your K drops too low, you lose the approval benefits. But at the same time, there are benefits to spending it. Now, the way you gain K and lose K obviously has a huge impact on how we're going to play as the Hissho. So the main way of gaining K is doing honorable things, so like completing quests, pillaging systems, fighting close ground and space battles, and discovering new systems. And you lose it by doing things that the Hissho consider dishonorable. So colonizing new systems especially is bad for K, and also retreating from battles is something you never want to do. So because K works like this, and because colonization takes up a lot of K, colonizing a new planet is actually really costly, because we lose all these benefits from having a high approval K score. So we really don't want to be attacking in general. Well, we really don't want to be colonizing new systems in general. What we do want to be doing is attacking and taking systems away from other factions. So for that reason, we're really kind of forced to play aggressively as a Hissho if we want to expand our empire, which we'll have to do eventually. Now, a nice thing about K is that the normal overpopulation benefits or costs don't really apply. What overpopulation does do is making new outposts a lot more difficult and costing a lot more K, but we're not going to plan on making new colonies anyway. So there's really no benefit to expanding a lot. And you really gain a lot of benefits by capturing a lot of systems. What you also gain from capturing a lot of systems is the ability to snowball a powerful economic lead and really set up one of the strongest middle and late games in the game, I think. And I've won the quickest of all my playthroughs of Endless Difficulty. I've won the fastest using the Hissho. So that's partly because of the power of behemoths, but partly because of these actions we can do, spending K. And most importantly, we can spend K for Way of the Obsidian Eagle, which gives us huge industry bonuses for any fleet close to a behemoth, any system close to behemoth, and a single system we target. So this is a way for us to really build up our mid-game industry really quickly. And another thing that's special about the Hissho, which really ramps our early game economy, although it becomes a bit less viable later on, is that we can spend K on this law, Hatched at Home, to get 25% bonus Fidzi, which is by far and away the best early game law, I think, in the game. The downside is that you have to spend K per new colonized system, so as long as you only have one system, it's a really great deal. If you start having multiple systems, this loss of K per turn is actually quite taxing. So, really, the Hissho, if they can get the ball rolling militarily, and pick up lots of systems, and compensate for the fact that they can't really colonize, they are extremely powerful, based on the power of behemoths, and especially mining probes on the Hissho. There's this perk called Resource Recoverers, which makes it basically that mining probes also give you resources in your home system, so you're getting even more mileage out of probes. And you're not going to be colonizing your systems near your home system anyway, you're going to be taking systems from other players. There's going to be a lot of dead space, and with that dead space, you can have a lot of space to use a lot of mining probes and get a lot of resources that way. So the big takeaway from this is the way K works forces us to attack, and some of the K actions, together with the behemoths, make it possible for us to snowball that attack into huge economic advantages and clinch a quick win. The best way to win is via Conquest Victory, which I've turned off for this game, partly because I felt like Conquest was kind of boring, partly because I made a mistake, but I like this world gen settings, so I'm just going to stick with it. And in any case, we can pick up a wonder, a science, or a economic victory. Sorry, this is a science victory. Relatively easily with the Hissho, and I've always found those victory types to be more interesting than Conquest. So, that's our general strategy. Early in the game, we set up our main system. We build fleets, we attack another civilization to get more planets, and then we really get the ball rolling using behemoths, and then we close out the game whichever way is easiest / more fun. So now that we've discussed that, we really need to think about how we're going to scout and what we're going to do with our hero in the first couple of turns. So the most important thing when thinking about scouting the hero is that you want to get as many of these curiosities as possible, because each of them gives your hero bonus experience if they reveal their curiosity, or if they're in the fleet that reveal their curiosity. The other thing we want is we want fast enough ships that we can quickly find where other factions are on the map. Especially because we want to attack them relatively quickly. We need to know how close they are, for instance, to determine, for instance, how many engines we want. And since I said I didn't want to colonize, I'm going to transform this brood ship into a really fast scout. So doing that, we've gained a 12 move speed scout just for locating things in the galaxy. That'll be useful because we want to know where our nearest enemies are, or future enemies. And we also want to know... we want to know that, and we also want to gain K by discovering things. So I'm just going to send the scout ship down there. And we also want to know where curiosities are. How greedy we can be with our hero in picking up curiosities. And I say we need to be greedy because, unfortunately, our hero ship design is kind of mediocre. As you can see here, there's only 2 slots for non-military things, so support modules. And if we went, for instance, double engine, which we'd probably want, we'd only have 8 move speed, but we want probes as well. And if we want double probes, we have 2 move speeds, which is like pretty pathetic. And if we want 1 move speed, we're only limited to 1 probe, which is really bad. But it's probably still going to get us more experience and reveal more curiosities than keeping the hero as a governor. And in any case, we want to tie up. We don't want to have our curiosity ship or our scout, our second scout, tied up at our home system, revealing curiosities. Now we do want to reveal curiosities because we were quite fortunate in picking up 2 colonizable planets at the start of the game. And they're fertile and temperate, here ocean and atoll. So the nice thing about these planets is that they get bonuses of xeno-industrial infrastructure. And the other best technology of the game, or upgrade of the game, at least the early game, public-private partnerships. So what this gives us is 30 bonus science on fertile and temperate planets. And our home planet is, I believe, fertile. So that means we'll get 80 bonus science if we colonize all of those planets. And we already have this, xenolinguistics, which gives us xeno-industrial infrastructure, which does the same thing but for industry. Now combined, these two perks, these 2 upgrades are really good. And together they give us the industrial and scientific base we need to really get all the technologies we want. And research all the things we want, build ships, etc. So our plan is going to be going xeno-industrial infrastructure, and then picking up these 2 planets. Now, high gravity is a big downside for a planet, so ideally we can find something else that's better on the other planet. Although we'll probably just get this planet, not put any workers on it, move the populations to other planets, and thereby collect the industry bonuses without actually having to suffer this negative. So there's 2 different outputs that planets give you, by the way. The one is the base output, which you get by just colonizing it, and the other is the output that you get from putting civilians on it. And see here, the deposits are bonuses that you civilians only get on that planet. Here the bonuses are a bit better, but we might end up getting more out of this planet, especially since we have discovered 2 luxury resources on the planet. So luxury resources are nice to have early in the game because you can start building them up for later, but it's not something we're rushing towards. I mean, dust trees are nice, and dark letter is okay. It gives us extra manpower, but we're probably not going to be choked on that. So these are nice to have, but they're not really the top tier luxuries like blue cap mold or jade onyx. So we've revealed curiosities in this system. Now we can think about retrofitting this scout. We'd have to pay 30 dust, but we'll give it 1 extra move, which is probably worth it. You can save the dust if you want. Normally I'd be more unhappy about spending so much dust early, but really we're not going to be colonizing. We don't have to spend the dust to speed up our colonies. So the extra dust is not super valuable in the early game. If we can get some extra use out of it with better ships, then that's worth it. Now I'm going to start sending the mining probe here. So a mining probe is a feature of the economic behemoth. It's one of those modules you can put on your behemoth. We start with this behemoth ship design and we can't edit it early on. So we have to work with the benefits we currently have. So those are 10 points of extra FIDs on our system. So we want to keep this in orbit of our main system for the foreseeable future. And here the mining probe, where you send a mining probe onto a planet, you get deposits or FIDs from the planet, and then we also give that to our main system, so we get extra FIDs than other factions would. So basically this means we want to probably be probing a planet on our main system for the next while, just to get extra resources out of this. It probably means we don't want to actually colonize all of the planets right away, because if we colonized Ash, for instance, we'd be probing no planets, because you can't probe a colonized planet, as you can see here. And that means we'd be losing out on the probe value on the system, but if we moved our behemoth to a different system, we'd be losing out on those 10 points of extra FIDs. So as long as we think the extra FIDs matter, or the probes matter, we'll probably keep away from the Ash planet for now, just because it doesn't get those fertile and temperate bonuses that we're kind of banking on the early game. So I mentioned this hatched at home lore earlier. I mean, it's not something that really helps it does help your middle game sometimes if you can keep gathering lots of K, but it's something that really excels in the early game, where you can basically spend 1K a turn for 25% extra FIDSy, which is really big. It's a really huge boost for the start of the game, and it even shaved like 1 turn off for Xeno-industrial infrastructure, which is a critical technology at this point in the game. So, as you can see, this is a good start for a faction that really has a lot of tools to make their starting system an economic powerhouse. And honestly, we need it to be an economic powerhouse because we're not going to get new systems very quickly with colonization. What we need to do is build up a fleet, attack another faction, and that's how we're going to get new systems, which is obviously time-consuming, it's a big resource investment. It's also quite risky, meaning that at this stage of the game, we are vulnerable and we have to make the most out of our starting system. So we could move our hero down here, but I still want to check out the curiosities on this planet first. I mean, it doesn't really matter, maybe there's something nice to check out over there, and hopefully there's more curiosities down there, but we're probably going to use the hero to get the curiosities here and here, and that should give us enough experience to get to level 2 and maybe a half, hopefully a half. The important thing is you always have to check when your hero becomes unlocked so you can send them back to become a governor. So starting as a governor is kind of anemic because minus 5% ship cost is a small bonus, and also we're missing out on the probes. So we're probably going to pick up these skills for extra industry and also extra food and industry. This skill is comparable, but only if you have lots of population, so these are better in the early game. I'm not missing out on too much. I mean, these skills are, I guess, nice if we want to be a fleet commander, maybe late in the game, but I don't think we're going to be commanding fleets right away, or that we need it, and we really do want to build our starting system up a lot. Maybe we can think about picking up other things for fleet command, like the bonus move is really nice. But also this is also quite strong later in the game. Bonus industry is also quite strong. So probably make a decent governor as well, or pretty decent governor for a big chunk of the game. And also shield penetration, etc. These are kind of niche upgrades to get. So the strength of these two abilities makes me feel like, having thought about it a little bit, that I want this hero to be a governor. I mean, I decided that before, but like, in general, I like to start with governors in this game anyway. Very rarely will I be attacking that quickly. That I really need the hero ship, for instance. I mean, it might just be a playstyle thing as well. Okay, so this is a dead end, and it doesn't have any curiosities. So that is disappointing. I'm not sure if we'll have enough curiosities to level our hero up as much as we'd like, in which case we might be wasting probes on a hero. And also, it's unfortunate that we sent our slow ship in the wrong direction, a fast ship in the wrong direction. This is our best scout. It was a dead end, no faction here, and the ship that's supposed to be finding us enemy factions sort of like got on the wild goose chase. So we're still picking up xenobiology. And after I have that, we don't need any colonization techs for this stage of the game. We could pick up the Ash one, but like I said, there's a cost to that we're losing out on probe value, all the 10 points it fits. So that's something we might want to do, but it's not something we have to do. It's something that comes at a cost, so it's likely not going to be pure upside. So let's see if we can do something better. So the technologies we really want for early aggression are efficient shielding, which gives us access to the tier 1 kind of hulls for attacking. These are both the earliest kind of military ships, apart from the Scout. And then we want to get military, we want to get up to tier 3, because tier 3 gives us a new set of weapons. It gives us focused plasma, which helps us get siege modules. And siege modules are kind of good for whittling away manpower defenses of the system, meaning that you much easier invade. Although the Hissho have a bonus, where from each Hissho population you get more manpower per turn. So this is less pressing than it is with other factions, but it's still nice to have if we decide we want to invest in siege ships. But more importantly, we want to pick up autonomous constructions. This will give us mobile energy weapons, which gives us tanks. And the way the military system works on ground battles is that you have basically a rock, paper, scissors situation with infantry, armor, and air. And armor beat infantry, infantry beat air, and air beat armor. Now, air is really late in the tech tree. Armor is relatively early, and infantry is immediately unlocked. The nice thing about armor then is that armor will always beat infantry, and you're only going to be facing infantry and armor battles, infantry and armor armies in the early to mid game. And that means that if you have a fully armored army, you'll be guaranteed to be at least even, if not advantaged in ground battles. So that's the first really nice thing about Autonomous. The second nice thing is that you get Coordinator Command, which gives you 3 bonus command points, which means 3 extra slots in a fleet. And that means for all fleet battles, you'll basically be 3 ships up on any empire that doesn't have this upgrade. So even though you have the same amount of ships, you can put more ships into fleets, and therefore in fleet battles you'll just be fighting with more ships against less ships. So basically, this upgrade is really crucial. This tier bonus is really nice and really important, and sieging is probably something we want to do if tanks won't get us all the way. And to get to these technologies, we have to pick up one of these, and they're basically worthless. or at least very low impact. I never want to pick up something like Anyway Fusion early in the game. I never want to pick it up for its own sake, that is. But we have to get it as a stepping stone to get to these technologies. And similarly, we need to get to efficient shielding. But here I'm more happy about the stepping stone. I'm probably going to go with sustainable farms and intensive cultivation in planetary landscaping, because bonus food will help us ramp up our starting system. And the stronger our starting system is, the better, because we're going to be relying on that system for a long time. We can think about this diplomacy option, but honestly, we're probably going to attack minor civilizations anyway. So that basically concludes our starting turn. We've picked the best law in the game. We've set ourselves up with the best industry upgrade in the game, and we've planned out our sciences for the first couple of turns. Now all we can do is hope that the other factions are close by, and that we have a neighbor which we can quickly attack, and really put all this industry and like economy we're building on our main system to use. But otherwise, I mean, we haven't found them yet, but otherwise this looks like an amazing start. Alright, and now we continue the embarrassing trek back from the middle of nowhere. And we can start using our hero to probe curiosities. Kind of confusing that there's probes and there's mining probes. This is scout probe. Yeah, this is just a probe. But there's also the mining probe. So, by the way, the behemoths are unique to the new Supremacy DLC, but they're not just for the Hissho, they're unlocked for all factions once you complete a cooperative quest. And once we get this technology from the quest, or once we unlock this technology and then research it after the quest, we can get the behemoth tech, and that way we can retrofit our behemoths to be more efficient. We can also get this fealty center, which is, I think, a really nice way to dump a lot of extra K in the later game. The final level of that, if I can find it somewhere. I'm not sure where it is. But basically this is a skill that... This is a upgrade that you can level up by getting extra technologies. Oh yeah, here it is. And the final version gives you +3 FIDs per planet, per population per planet. And that's really nice. And a really big bonus on systems which are really well developed. But again, it's way in the future. We can't afford to spend 25k at the moment. And the reason we can't afford to do that is, again, these loyalty bonuses. If we lose out on them, we're kind of in trouble. Like 50% bonus dust and science. And on the system, 5% food and influence is really something we'd like to keep if we could help it. Especially since, I mean, you'll see this later, why I'm making such a big deal about it, but basically K is quite difficult to get. A lot of the space battles you make, or a lot of the ground battles you participate in, will be kind of one-sided. Either in a good way or a bad way. That's kind of how the game works. Close battles are relatively rare. I'm just gonna get the skill later. I don't have to choose right now, and I'm saving myself flexibility, and I'm not losing anything by just preserving the options for later. But basically, what was I saying? I was talking about space battles and K, yeah. So basically the way the game works is it's quite, I guess, one-sided in the battles. Frequently the higher technology side, or the side of more command points, will just completely wipe the other side. So you're rarely getting a huge amount of K from battles. You only really get a lot of K from, in terms of military, from ransacking systems. So like 40k doesn't sound like a lot, but really it can be like quite or really difficult to replenish that until you're really sacking a lot of systems and are really in the mid or later game phases of the game. So now we're going to look at our faction quest. As you can see, all quests give us 5k upon completion. And that's really something we can look forward to. So feel free to read the section. Feel free to pause during my explanation of it. So I'm going to scroll down now. So the story basically follows Tizio Blackridge, and she's a teacher of military, but she also is a fan or a proponent of the Order of the Blood Sisters, a sort of legendary warrior monk group going down. So, and the aim of the quest is more or less to revitalize or to support the development of the Hissho Empire in this confusing age where Hissho are clearly bound by tradition. I mean, they're clearly modeled after Aztecs and also samurai from history. But also they're faced with the newness of the galaxy, etc. So we can choose between trying to assimilate a new faction and building 2 ships with this amount of defensive power. So I'm going to go with the ships because I'm not sure if I'll see a new faction, and I haven't seen one yet. I mean, for this to work, we have to spot a new minor faction, and then we probably have to divert resources to attacking them, which won't even be that great if there's another faction close by which you rather want to be attacking. So my guess is building ships will be easier. So this is one of those things where, I don't know, could be wrong. We also kind of do want to propel this quest along, because late in the quest you get a new mining probe, which is really strong, and you don't have to... It's also something you can get without having to get the technologies for these mining probes. Like core miner, etc. These are good mining probes, but to get them we'd have to research these technologies, and I think the quest gives us something of comparable power level. And again, mining probes are something that are unique or specifically good for the Hissho, not always for other factions. But on the Hissho in particular, they give you a lot of bonuses. Excuse me. Now we could send our probe out because we don't have movement speeds. I still looked at curiosity, and that's probably a fine thing to do. Send the probe in a random direction. Hopefully it finds another empire. If we find another empire of probing and they're outside of our star lanes, we can pick up this baryonic shielding and get this warp drive for free move. And once we have free move, we can just go there even though there's no star line connecting us with that planet. That's particularly useful if we can't find another civilization on the star lane very quickly. So we're going to probe once more, and this hero is going to come back in 4 turns to be our governor. Kind of important that we always check that we have probes, etc. available. So let's just check. We're picking up these planets in 2-3 turns, so we're not going to get the full value of the probe, so we're going to go for the ash planet this time. Probe lasts 4 turns. This way we're getting more resources, I think. I could do the maths, whatever. So I'm still going to go for public-private partnership after I get this huge industry boost, because AT science is no joke. And then we might pick up these things from planetary landscaping. We might go for cerebral reality or drone network, but they're relatively low impact at this point, so it might not be the best choice. But I mean, those upgrades, they're nothing special, but they're kind of nice to have. Alright. Let's see. Let's go down this way with the boot ship. Alright. Okay, now I'm just going to pick up efficient shielding. It's something we want anyway. There's no upgrade that is super pressing at the moment. We have enough to build that it's not like we're going to miss out on getting the best ones, you know? And we do want efficient shielding to really kick our military into drive, as it were. I mean, it is kind of annoying that we don't have easy access to Hyperium, because Hyperium is a way for us to get better engines. But to do that, we have to invest in these technologies, and that's, as you can see, quite a lot of science spent for one bonus move. And you probably also have to send this ship away over here, and then also pick up plasma metallurgy to even be able to probe Hyperion. So I don't feel like that's going to be worth it, though. Could be wrong. It looks like there's going to be a pretty big gap between us and the nearest empire, at least from what we've seen. Or at least they're not on their doorstep, let's put it that way. Kind of sad. I'm just going to research curiosities. I mean, random little rewards like bonus science. Sometimes you get bonus, you get unique. Okay, I ran into another dead end, so I'm going to go back. Sometimes you get unique plating or something, or weapons, which help you out in the early game. So, I mean, finding curiosities is not a priority of the scout, but it's always nice. Again, not much has changed this time. We sadly can't make good use of these probes. There's no curiosities nearby to find. And even, yeah, the nearest system is this. No curiosities on that. It's kind of nice to have a neutron star close by, because I believe you can get strategic resources with behemoths later on. Over here. And actually we can get the highest tier strategics from that neutron star. So in the future this will be really nice. Currently not so useful. So we need to just keep scouting for brute ship. And in one turn we can reassign our hero as a governor. So this is the quest I've been talking about. Once we complete this quest by getting a total of 19 military technologies with all the other empires combined, we unlock behemoth technology, and then we can really edit this behemoth into something a lot better and give it some better probes, for instance, or whatever. But that's not a huge priority. We're going to get military technologies anyways, and it will unlock pretty quickly. Now, efficient shielding we want, and we're going to pick up N-Wave fusion as well. Probably this chain gang is worth having. Later in the game you can generate a lot of manpower using it. Not great, but it's probably better than this. Again, those technologies are really low impact in the early game. We can think about drone networks and sustainable farms. I think bonus industry is never terrible or never bad. And we also want to think about what skills you want on a governor. So bonus food is neat, but we're actually going to get more points out of this. We're going to get 20 points of industry per level. Because we have one hot already. And this will give us 20 points of food. Sorry, 15 points. And 10 points of food and 5 points of industry per level. This is actually more points per level. At the same time, industry might be less valuable than food, but I feel like I'm just going to try this out. I'm not sure which of these are better in this situation. They're both things we want to have, but it's possible the food was more pressing. It's possible the industry was more pressing. So I'm just going to pick up drone networks, try and maximize the industry, and then pick up sustainable farms. And from these upgrades, we'll be picking up an extra decent amount of food, so 30 in total. And I think we're gonna put them all on this planet. And okay, so it turns out that planet is giving us the most food and industry. We can push this guy over to there because this Illo gives us more influence on if it's on a hot planet. But it also costs us a bit of industry and food, as you can see. Yeah. And as you can see, actually that pushed the industry over the limits, so now we can actually build this one turn faster. So that's really great. So let's just keep scouting. And we've finally found another empire. So that's exciting. And exciting in ways which are not good for them. We just met them, and in future episodes we're going to plan on attacking them once we find their systems. Unfortunately for us, the Voltas are not super militarily inclined, and we can quickly build up an attack on them and claim their systems and build up our empire even more, and really get that economic ball rolling which I was talking about. And here we can see there's a grey border, which means there's a minor civilization. Would it be nice to have the minor civilization quest now? But whatever. So we have finally found 2 targets we can turn our attention to and really put this huge industrial boost and industrial base of our main system to use. So join me next time as I set myself up for an attack on the Voltas faction. And then also look forward to the rest of the playthrough, where I'm gonna show you basically how powerful the Hissho can be if they get a good start. We have half of it here, in that we have a really strong early system, and the only system that really matters for us at the moment, because the only system we can ever hope to get by peaceful means. And then we'll see if we can make the second part of Good Opening happen, which is attacking another system. The real challenge is going to be trying to get our ships all the way over there to attack the Voltas. Hopefully they're relatively close by. So I hope you enjoyed watching. Consider subscribing, and I hope you learned something from this video.